What are some red flags at a wedding? Mother-in-law in a white lace dress. That doesn't necessarily speak badly of the couple. It does often foreshadow marriage problems stemming from the mother meddling, though. My mom wore a white lace dress to my wedding. I was the bride. Almost 26 years later, I'm still happily married but cut off my mom. Small fish in inadequate glass containers as centerpieces. We all walk into the hall and find our tables, each with a belly up, totally dead, bloated guppy floating in its little glass coffin. Lots of people lost their appetites. Marriage didn't last a year. That's an omen. It's really just an entirely preventable tragedy caused by lack of responsibility. Maybe we are both right. I've been to a lot of weddings, two of which I vividly recall the groom spending 98% of the reception and dance with his friends rather the bride. Both ended in quick divorce. Everyone talked about how much fun they had at my wedding, except me. Groom was outside with the other smokers the whole time except for cake cutting, etc. Picture ops. We're divorced now. Crying. I was at a wedding once where the bride and groom were weeping. The priest and altar servers were sobbing. The whole congregation was blubbering. Even later on at the reception, the cake was in tears. As a supposed supporter of the couple, none of the speeches mention them as a couple. Friends take more of a, "if you're happy, then I'm happy" kind of tone. The couple isn't aligned on their wedding details and or looks peeved the whole day. As a guest, where the cost of hosting is passed on to the guests. Or there is no lodging nearby so guests can imbibe and the hosts are annoyed that no one danced or stayed late. Outdoors with very few accommodations or enough meals. Yes, I get that it's your day, but hosting an event should account for guest experiences, in my opinion. Went to my husband's coworker's wedding. It was an hour from where majority of people lived, with hotels being about 30 minutes away. Most people just opted to just drive the rest of the way home rather than get a hotel room. The DJ was also not great. The wedding ended an hour before it was supposed to, with the bride finally caving and doing her send-off early after some of her bridesmaids packed up to leave. Bride had apparently been a self-centered bridezilla all day, and everyone was tired of her shit by the end. I went to a wedding where the bride gave a heartfelt, sincere speech about how the groom is like a loyal dog, always listens, is always around, does what she asks, etc. etc. She meant it to be cute or something. I found it kind of fucked up and demeaning, LMAO. Yes, she did literally say, like a good loyal dog. I'm not interpreting that. Marriage is the hardest thing you will ever have to do, but these two are strong enough to make it work. My friend, marriage is optional, and it's important to me that you know that. At the time we got married, a guy my husband worked with kept telling him, the first year is going to be the hardest of your life. We're 3 years in and still don't get what he was talking about. When the bridegroom shoves cake in the other's face. My husband got a little caught up in the moment and smushed cake in my face. I wouldn't say shoved. I got mad. He apologized. 40 years later, we still love and like each other. If Reddit had been around 40 years ago, I would have had to divorce him. When the groom is sickly pale, sweating bullets, and looking pig-sick instead of joyful. Source, my wedding. Me, getting married in October, reading the comments. Do you love your partner and plan on spending the rest of your life with them? Then everything will be fine. As far as the wedding is concerned, just do the following things. 1. Make sure the wedding is about the couple and not anyone else, especially mother-in-laws. 2. Don't make the guests pay ridiculous amounts of money to attend. 3. Make sure everyone is fed, including vendors. 4. Don't invite exes. 5. Have fun. It is a big party after all. The bride is losing her shit over every little thing that isn't exactly as she wanted it. Some people are more concerned with the idea of being married than they are about who they're marrying. These are the people that have a dream wedding in mind. UHG, I just know this is going to happen at the wedding I'm in this summer. The couple's stag and dough has just passed, and it was a smashing success. More people than expected attended. People had tons of fun with the games, music and dinner. We raked in thousands of dollars, which more than covered the costs of the game raffle prizes, the hall rental, alcohol, food, etc. So obviously the couple made good money off it overall. There were no issues at all throughout the night. Even the bride's separated parents played nice, and they hate each other's guts. The bride is still ranting about how apparently nothing went the way she wanted and it ruined her whole vision. I fear the bachelorette and the wedding day so much right now. I've never seen a wedding where the groom smeared cake on the bride's face last. When they're cute and put a little smear of frosting on her nose or try to feed her a too big piece, it's fine. But the ones where he just smears cake all over her are doomed. Not a single one has made it 10 years. Most don't make 5. Now if the bride smears cake, it's fine. Those marriages last. But not the other way around. The bride and groom expect people to pay to attend. One of my closest friends of 20 years recently had a destination wedding. I was asked to be a bridesmaid, yet I couldn't even afford to attend the ceremony, let alone the destination bachelorette party she also had. It's her moment, so it is what it is. But it's so weird now. In all the years we spent fantasizing about our future weddings, I never imagined I wouldn't have enough money to even attend hers. After shelling out over $1,000 for the destination wedding, I was cut from the bridal party because I couldn't afford to attend the bachelorette party in Vegas. I was in college, and she was one of my oldest friends. I literally skipped meals to afford to go on the trip. Marriage lasted a year. At least I enjoyed the wedding. Less stress just being a guest. The speeches all end up being about times they were very drunk, including how drunk they were when they met. I have been to a wedding where that happened. Best man's speech all about the drunken antics of the groom. It was a very conservative crowd, awkward times. The mother of the bridegroom trying to control anything as if it's her day. Not a good sign at all. Story time. My husband and I got married in 2021. Originally, we wanted a very small wedding, like 10 people in attendance, max, in our small backyard with like a potluck for the reception. Very small, very intimate, and with our favorite people. When we told that to his mom, she was flabbergasted. She adamantly demanded that we have a larger wedding so that we could invite the entirety of my husband's family, including people I have never even met. My husband has always had issues with disappointing his mom, so when she agreed to pay for 90% of everything, including the food, we said okay. The only thing we had to pay for was the venue and photos. Fast forward to the wedding day. Because this was an all-hands-on-deck situation, my husband and I had to show up early to the venue to help decorate and get everything ready since the venue was only booked for that day and we couldn't decorate until after 11 a.m. due to conflicting schedules with the venue. Cue my mother-in-law losing her absolute mind when she found out that the flower decorations for the cake were not exactly how she thought they'd be. I never thought I would have to calm down another woman's expectations on my own wedding day. So, after I assured her I would handle everything, she finally agreed to get dressed and ready for the wedding. I had to rush to get everything done to her liking so that I could have time to race back home to get ready with my bridal party's help. The wedding turned out lovely, don't get me wrong, and the day was one of the best of my life because I got to marry my best friend. The only thing that I was the tiniest bit upset about was the reception being rushed because we had to take everything down and clean up by a certain time that evening, so I didn't get to enjoy the reception as much as I would have liked. Bride or groom doesn't show up. 1986. I was 19 and in a wedding gown, standing by the front door of the church looking for my groom. My dad walks from the family-friend crowded sanctuary, small country church, and says, "I am sorry, but he's not coming. Don't you think have you kept everyone waiting long enough?" I replied, "He will be here." Why I waited I don't know. The groom showed up 2 hours late. Most friends' family left, in swimming trunks and car grease from head to toe. His exact words rushing through the door, laughing? I forgot, even though he was at the rehearsal the night before. I know I should have given up then, but I tried for 33 years until he said he never did love me, and that he just didn't want to be alone. He left me for the woman he said he was meant to be with. I was just a placeholder. Even her adult children replaced his own. I wish I could say I didn't hate all men afterward. It has taken nearly 5 years, and to feel like not all men are this callous. But I will never marry again. Went to a wedding where the groom talked about how much he loved the bride and the bride also talked about how much the groom loved her. A year in and she cheated, they're divorcing. A 2014 study titled, "A Diamond is Forever," found that higher wedding costs correlate to higher divorce rates. Couples who spent $20,000 or more on their wedding were 3.5x more likely to get divorced than those who spent between $5,000 to $10. Larger weddings, more guests, are correlated with lower divorce rates. Spending more than $2,000 on an engagement ring was linked to higher likelihood of divorce compared to spending $500 to $2,000. More costs equals more divorce, more guests equals less divorce. But there's a bit of a flaw here, cause more guests equals more costs. I guess you just need to find where the two lines cross on the graph and aim for that. No food, lots of alcohol. Multi-day weddings are becoming increasingly common in my social circle for some reason, which is fine if there's enough food and lodging and comfort for guests. But the last one I went to was in the July desert heat, and not nearly enough water or food during the downtime. I stayed at a nearby hotel, which seemed to bug the bride, but the guests seemed to imply that was a good idea. When the groom starts his speech with, "This is for all you haters who didn't want to see us together," rumor has it he was referring to the bride's uncle and brother who don't like him. Now I am hearing the girl wants to divorce him but can't because they have a young son under 5 years old. What are some red flags at a wedding? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.